Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Halftime with K Bizzy podcast. And today I'm very, very happy to bring Bleh back to the podcast for you guys today. Today was a little bit of a badly timed podcast on my part. We were previewing stage 3 and kind of recapping what we thought of the major from stages 1 and 2, and then kind of just taking a quick dive into stage 3 and looking at some of the storylines attached to some of the players, the teams, certain situations, things like that. So at the time you're watching this, we all know that stage 3 is either going to be close to or completely wrapped up and we're moving on to the playoffs. So apologies for that, but I think it's still a good conversation. And of course, Bleh has the professional analysis, so obviously very good to have, as well as I am not a professional analyst. If you guys are new to the platform, we do podcasts every single Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern from everybody from pro players to content creators to skin creators, map creators, analysts, casters, any type of broadcast talent, everybody, man. We try to do as much as we can and talk to as many people as we can. And there's a lot of episodes. If you haven't watched any other episodes on this channel, there's a lot that you can check out and you will enjoy. We have my links down in the description as well as Bleh's links. I'm also going to be doing this new thing going forward where I'm going to put my Twitch down in the description. And if you guys want to support the podcast and what I do, if you have a Prime sub, feel free to shoot me a Prime sub. Doesn't cost you anything and helps support me and what I do. I would appreciate it. So we will leave you guys there and we'll get right into today's episode. Shout out to Bleh for making this one happen, and we will catch you guys on the outro. All right, so if people are not aware, today stage 3 just began, and by the time this comes out, it will be next Friday, so the stage 3 will be pretty much done. So it might not make a whole lot of sense for people viewing it then, but this is recorded rather the day stage 3 started. And it's been almost a year since we had you on the podcast, and we're really happy to have you back on. Since we had you back on, you worked since November last year was your last gig, and then this year you've worked Bucharest, Astana, and CAC. So how was that for you? Like, were you excited to work broadcasts again?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a quiet start, but then I think everything came in a rush, so to speak, right? Yeah. So Bucharest is fun. Astana is always a blast to work with. And after Astana, I think it was CAC, which is a more of a remote broadcast happening there, which is kind of unfortunate. I feel like a lot of orgs right now, unless it's a major, they're having way more like remote broadcasts when it comes to China. Like even for
Yeah.
ESL, I feel like a lot of the analysts are in the studio as well. So that kind of sucked a little bit because Shanghai's a cool city. China's a cool place to be at for events. But apart from that, yeah, no real complaints. Now I'm just sitting back, chilling, watching a major, which is a lot of CS anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially now that we got BO3s only, like, thank God. The BO1s are cool for a little bit, then after a while, I'm just like, man, we got to get these BO3s started so quick.
Yeah, yeah,
And
for sure. Especially, I think I was a little surprised. I woke up today, was taking a nap, and then I'm like, all right, let's tune into the games, and I'm like, oh, Mongols won the game. And I'm like, wait, we're already playing a second map. It just took a second for me to realize it. But I think it's a really good change. In fact, I'd say depending on the caliber of the teams, I'd actually like it to be maybe best of 3 for stage 2 as well. I
yeah.
feel for this particular major, I think the level was overall not the best, even in stage 2. But I think stage 1, sure, make it best of ones. I think it's totally fine. But I feel with stage 2 especially, I feel like we could maybe slowly start segueing into best of 3s. Maybe down the line, doesn't have to be right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know a lot of people talk about, the whole best of one situation being kind of, it causes a lot of upsets. It's a little bit of a free pass depending on certain teams that are playing. I don't know. I think for the first stage 2, I think it makes sense. But for stage 2, I think that's when the BO3s should start. I just think it's a little too much to have 2 stages with a bunch of BO1s.
Yeah.
And I gotta ask too, when you went to Astana, like the crowd and the energy, like it just kind of makes me just sit back and just really observe like where Counter-Strike travels around the world, where we're gonna be seeing it. It's going to Singapore this year, we're going to Argentina next year. Like
Mhm.
Counter-Strike really touches all over the world. And I think of like Kazakhstan. I mean, maybe it's just me being ignorant because I'm from NA, but The only time I think of Kazakhstan is when I'm watching Borat, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know what goes on over there, but the energy and the fans over there are just absolutely like head over heels Counter-Strike. Like, how is it kind of experiencing the whole fan base over there? Because they don't get a lot of
I
CS
think
to watch, really, right? Like in person.
Yeah, I think the cool thing we've seen recently in this global CS overall, right? Obviously, we've seen this like rise in Asian events. Initially, earlier it used to be like, oh, IEM's going to have an event in Shanghai. That's about it. Maybe you'll have like a one-off Star Ladder event back in the day. But I think it is kind of cool how we've seen like this resurgence, even though there's not like really good teams from the region, apart from maybe Tyloo or Lin Vision on maybe a very good day. Just the fandom over there, I think is really cool, and I think we've seen that kind of. I wouldn't say call it a trickle down effect, but I feel like it does have an effect on smaller regions, right? Because we saw South America how big it was, and we saw China. We know how good Sydney can be, or Melbourne for that matter, right? In Australia. And then you look at places like Mongolia. I had the opportunity to be there. I was just blown away with how massive it is. Now, sure, it's thanks to the Mongols' success and all of that. And for Kazakhstan, it's the big surprise is yes, the fact that it's such a big scene. Because I've known like Adren, for example, from K23, major winner, played for Gambit and everything. But apart from him and a handful of other people, you don't really think about Kazakhstan, right? Hobbit, for example, comes to mind. Uh, so I was pleasantly surprised how massive the fan base were. Like I'm talking about
Yeah.
Molodoy's photos, by the sidewalk. I think it was sponsored by Snickers or something. A
Yeah,
Snickers
yeah.
ad, which is crazy. And then speaking to a couple of guys, I think from the government or something, and they said they have like about 1,000 gaming centers, like gaming cafes, and I believe them because every corner I turned, there would be like cybersports or esports with Counter Strike, kind of like banners all over the place. So, super surprised and makes me wonder, like maybe there are other places we haven't really touched upon, right? Like we saw how Singapore was very cool when Blast did an event over there. We saw Hong Kong. I think Blast Rivals Hong Kong is the best crowd for a Blast event, for example, right? And I think it's just so cool to see TOs in general venture outside of the usual places like NA, like Europe mainly, right? So yeah, I was super impressed, super fun to see because it's for me it's back to back as well. And I think the most impressive thing was how young the crowd was. That was the youngest in all my years. I think that's the youngest crowd I've ever seen. Like the average age was like must be 14, 15 or something like that, which is pretty crazy if you think about it.
Yeah, for sure. And I like the whole part that you mentioned too about traveling outside of Europe and stuff. And now we're starting to see the next couple majors are going to be in places that I don't even know if there's ever really been like S tier events at before. Like Argentina, I don't recall.
I don't think
Singapore,
so.
not a whole lot.
Yeah,
So like to see that's
Singapore.
awesome.
Mhm.
And then
No, yeah,
Twitch,
100%. And just to add on to that, like I feel like it is a risk, right? It's
oh, for
still
sure.
kind of a risk for Valve. Like for Fire League, for example, like I think they've done one or two local events. They've done quite a few lands in Argentina, but not of this particular scope, right? Of doing a full-fledged major. But even you go back to Star Ladder in last time in Budapest when they did the event, it was like they'd been away for such a long time, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like it's a yes, there will always be a little bit of like faith being put in them, but I'm just happy that Valve's willing to take the risk, right? Not just the same bloody thing over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely. And my boy Twist, he's trying to rep it for Canada. He's saying, let's get a major in Canada. I'm right there. Let's do it.
Yeah, like listen, man, I've never been to Canada, so I'm totally down. Like, there's gonna be a Canadian event, Canadian major especially. I don't know where it'd be. That probably Toronto, I guess, makes the most sense. Maybe
Probably
someplace
Toronto
else.
or Vancouver, I think, would be the easiest places because they're two of the biggest places. Unfortunately, both of the most expensive places in Canada, so there's that part to factor in too. But Vancouver is just right above Seattle, Washington, so that would be an easy trip for Valve too. So would kind of make
Yeah.
sense for them. But who knows? We'll see what happens there. Um, so stage 3 is taking place as we speak. Foot absolutely smacked Vitality on Anubis. Right now they're getting smacked 10-2 on Overpass. Not sure where that's going to
Yep.
end up. 9Z putting Paravision back in their place. Mongols, unfortunately, not looking good either. There's a lot of good and bad things to take away from a major. And one of the worst parts is we'll just get it out of the way automatically. NACS probably in the worst shape that it's been in history, I guess. We got M80 made it through stage one, Liquid getting eliminated in typical fashion. I mean, it's just absolutely grueling to have to continue watching this lineup continue to play. And that NRG choke, I mean, Jesus Christ. Like what do you make of NACS right now? Because
Uh,
it's hard.
it's 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 the worst like region we have in CS right now. I'm sorry to say, it's just the
Hey,
facts, right? Like
yeah.
obviously EU number one on top. Even if we split EU, between CIS and EU, combine those two together, they're top one, top two, whatever, right? And then you have South America. I think South America is doing fucking fantastic, which is ironic considering how much of a struggle city it's been for NA. Because if you look at apart from Fury, of course, you have like MIBR looking pretty solid
Yeah.
altogether. Like their overall average level of, let's say, the top 4 or 5 teams, I think it's just second below EU. Asia, it's based just the Mongols and Tyloo, continue to kind of deal a bit of damage. That's about it. But NA just like in the bin, bro. And it's sad because I think there is talent. Like when I say talent, like if you combine all these teams together, if you look at like M80, if you look at NRG, if you look at even Liquid, like you can build two teams
Yeah.
and make them work, right? For sure. And I like M80. I think they're very solid. I think the team works, right? The vibes seem to be good as well on that particular team, but they don't seem to be able to kind of just break through that ceiling they have. Like it's a weird thing. I don't know if it's a mental thing or whatnot, but I feel like they're a team who could potentially, make the playoffs off an STR event. I can definitely see or envision that happening, but for some reason they just don't seem to click. And the same with NRG as well. It's kind of frustrating because I think they play some solid CS. I think they got the best remnants, so to speak, of NA right now on that particular team, right? You have like Grim, you got OC and everyone. And they play pretty good CS, and then sure the choke happens. But even if you take away the choke, if you look at all the events we've seen from them this year, it's like either that's like a stand-in playing or like it's something weird happening, or they're gonna have these close losses. So I don't think it's all complete doom and gloom, but it's not good. It's not looking good right now.
Yeah. The thing that I was speaking to somebody from NRG, and I won't name their name because I don't know if this is, they didn't say not to say it, but they just told me. So
Yeah,
they went into the major with 2 days of practice, which is obviously not good. And there was some circumstances that were happening leading up to the event where in CAC they had Daps was standing in for Bro because
signing
of
in. Yeah.
death in the family, I believe his grandmother or something. So I'd imagine that kind of played a little bit of a part in that too. But I mean, for any team to be going into the major with 2 days of practice, I mean that's a yikes. So that's kind of tough. But to see,
And that's the thing, right? Like, again, I'm not, well, obviously, death in the family. It's nothing you can really do about
yeah,
that,
yeah,
right? So,
absolutely.
okay, commiserations to bro and his family as well. But it's just at this point, for me, it reminds me of Device when he was in Australia and just like falling sick every couple of events, not able to travel. Like, I get it, it sucks, man. But is this something you're going to be having to contend with every single time? Where are you going to go as a team? And the reason I say this is because I'm just looking at the results right here, right? So out in stage one of the Cologne Major, 13 to 16th in CSC, fair enough, with DAP standing in. 13 to 16 in IEM Atlanta, even Frac 20, you're not even cracking top four. Like, it's not even top 10 in any of the lands they've attended this year. And I'm just like, guys, like, what are we doing here? Because you have some pretty good pieces, like some solid pieces. I think
Yeah,
Bro is great. You got OC, you got Grim, you got like Sonic, who I feel is super underrated. I feel like he might actually even be the best player right now, the way he's playing, right? So everything's there on paper. You have these really cool maps, close maps, good wins against some big names, and you're not quite able to capitalize on that. And at some point, you have to make it work, right? Like how long are you gonna meander around this position?
yeah, and that's what I think about Team Liquid. I mean, there you'll see them play. I've watched them play Vitality, and they're obviously the best team in the world right now, have been for quite some time. You see them play Vitality, and it's just something different. They can play wicked CS. They can give Vitality a hard time. You'll see Apex sitting there just like deflating in his chair, stressed out, and they'll go and play anybody else, and they're just like swinging individually, not playing for trade kills, like dry peeking shit, and it's just like Like, what's happening? Like, we need to see something. I don't know if it's an environment thing, like if there's people that aren't happy in the team behind the scenes or what, but like something's really, really wrong there. And this major was kind of just like more concrete proof of that. And I really want to see not one, but like two or maybe even three changes on that roster because it's just not
I
working.
think they should. Yeah, at this point, like, uh, I think a lot of it has to come to the leadership as well. And for Shuei, ever since he's come in, I'm sorry, buddy. Like, the results just don't speak at all, right? Individually, he looks pretty shoddy. He was someone who used to be like a kind of fragging IGL back in the day as well on
Yeah.
that Mouse team. And then I'm looking at Ultimate. I think we've said enough about Ultimate at this point. Right? Super inconsistent, apart from maybe like one good map he has in Blue Moon. That's about it. Even Lee just dropped off, bro. Like it's tremendously. And for me, the biggest surprise is Mobs comes in, and I loved watching Mobs on G2. You know, even
Yeah.
when they were playing with Nico and Monacy. Like the guy seems like he's super talented, right? Like incredible mechanical ability. Seems like a smart guy. Seems like a smart kid. Has got seems to also have like pretty good vibes overall, right? And even he's not able to really feel comfortable clearly on this team. So I said it on it was a podcast or on Twitter. I'm just blow it up, just blow this team up at this point, right? And try to build around whatever pieces remain because there's no point trying to. I don't know the exact VRS details. You need to have like 3 players, I know, but like at this point, fuck it, right? Just reassemble something. You're liquid for Christ's sake. Like you can make
Yeah.
this work. I think Mobs. I think you try to work around, around mobs. Kind of keep Naf. Even Elite, bro. At this point, I don't know, man. Like it just seems to be kind of like the poison chalice. Everyone gets picked up by a team. I mean, it's been said out. It's in public as well. Like he can be a little. I wouldn't say hard to work with, but he demands a lot. It can be a little temperamental, a little bit, up and down. And I feel like it's just a confluence of all these things, all the pieces, right? So yeah, the management, it's a classic thing. It's a classic thing. Like, the management needs to like figure this shit out at this point because there's no excuses.
For sure. And onto a separate topic, I wanted to talk about this with you today about that rule. I'm sure you probably saw it on Twitter. Valve is allegedly enforcing a rule for TOs to enforce to coaches on not really showing emotion and stuff like that. And I know Kakafu and Coolio have both spoken about this at the Cologne Major that's happening right now, obviously. And I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts are because I know there's like the whole cheating aspect and you want to suppress any type of cheating in any way, shape, or form as much as possible. But at the same time, suppressing somebody's emotions is like it's kind of that, double-edged sword. Like I'm curious what your take on that is.
I do believe this is not a new rule, as if memory serves me right. I think it's been around for quite a while. Um, I think it's fucking stupid. I just completely disagree with that because like this is thing where Valve, when it comes to the major, always playing catch up to the best of the best events. For example, like PGL, they were doing third place deciders before everyone else, and then Valve said, "All right, that makes sense. Let's do that. Great idea. Later, let's work with that." And then, best of 3 Swiss systems throughout. Took them a while for them to switch up, and even then, they're only doing it for stage 3, right? So there's been catch up in a way. And the thing with the coaching is also, by the way, like the overtime bonus money, it's different in the majors as opposed to every other tier who are doing 12,500 instead of 10K, which is in the majors. I'm like, why is this discrepancy happening? Valve just seem to be always trailing behind when it comes to this, and the coaching role is just so stupid, man. It's so frustrating. Like, because you also kind of build up the habit as a coach standing behind a team playing in all these other events where you're allowed to express yourself, yell, and just be human. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then suddenly coming to the major and it's just supposed to be just poker face when the game's like 15-15 of a it's just stupid. It's just one of the dumbest rules I think we have in CS. And look, overall, I'm not a Valve apologist, nor am I like a just a hater. I think they've done pretty good work overall recently. I think the game's looking like it's in a very good place. I think the competitive scene is also kind of looking good. So they've been doing a lot of great stuff. But this reinforcement of such a dumb rule is just I don't even know how to like justify it. How they would justify that. I know they'll be like, oh yeah, it's gonna give extra information to your players, and I'm like, come on, man, you can do it in so many other different ways. Like,
Yeah.
just stop it.
It's I think of Foot is a perfect example of this. Like these guys were an academy roster last year. They start this year and they're in stage 2 of the major, and they're looking really fucking good despite just getting 13-2 by Vitality on Overpass. But overall, as a collective, like, I mean, they're lifting their org's first trophy at Bucharest. These people have every single right to be absolutely ecstatic for their performance and what they've done in their careers individually and as a team. So to be like, oh, you know, you can't like throw your arms up in the air and like scream yes or something, or you know, like do we really think that, you know, they're gonna have like an excited, like an excitement word that is like a little code word of like, okay, do this round? Like, I mean, it's just a little bit nitpicky. And even Kakafu was mentioning, you know, if this is a rule they want to enforce, that they want that he would say that TOs have to put him in a separate booth, or any coach for that matter, put them in a separate booth with their own
That's
PC,
true.
which it makes sense, but at the same time, is that really like optimal? Like, would that really happen? Like, I couldn't see it. I feel like that'd be a little too much work.
I think that's something what Kakafe was mentioning is something that Valorant does quite often. Like they have a separate coach cam where the coach doesn't stand behind the players, and he's got his own PC in a room and he can like talk during timeouts and whatnot. Um, Look, it's an idea, but personally for me, I'm just like, just do what we've been doing for every other event right now. We're
Yeah.
talking about all the ESL events, all the Blast events, all the PGL events, all the the Draculants and everything, having a coach behind it just adds so much to the show, to the product, and also just why are we adding unnecessary layers, right? And also,
Yeah.
why are we trying to separate yourselves? I'm talking about Valve and the majors from what is kind of accepted by the community, by the players, by all the TOs as like this is the standard de facto of how we are going to be doing all these events. So why are we trying to enforce a rule, which by the way, I think it's been there for quite a while, especially for the majors. It's just so annoying because it only comes up during the majors once in 6 months. Any other event, no one cares. No one brings it up, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, that is something that does annoy me a bit.
Yeah, I agree with you. But speaking of Foot, you know, we were just kind of talking a little bit about them and their progress, and what they've achieved this year is really amazing. And where they've landed themselves right now, I mean, when's the last time we've seen a team do this? You know, like you don't really get to see that a whole lot in a lifetime. Krebeni is an absolute freak of nature as a fragging IGL, and I'm pretty sure he's a little bit newer to IGLing, so you can maybe draw the bridge of like, okay, well, he's a fragging IGL, but he's still a new IGL. But at the end of the day, he's an IGL and he can absolutely tap heads. Like, he's an absolute maniac. The team hype, especially from Lonx's end, is both really amazing to see and also a little bit funny, because you see PGL put out the compilations like at Bucharest. It's like a 2-minute clip and he's just like screaming his lungs out. I mean, there's
Yeah.
just every single aspect of this team is just absolutely amazing. They breezed through stage 2 with their only loss to G2 on their best of 3 on Overpass. What do you think about Foot right now? Where they'll make it in the Cologne major, or even outside of the major? Where do you think they'll land themselves at the end of the year, or just in the future in general?
I think the cool thing with Foot is I'm trying to say memory serves me right. They got an invite for Krakow because one of the Brazilian teams dropped out, if I'm not mistaken. So they're kind of like a replacement team
Yeah,
that came in, right? And I just love how they've taken that opportunity and just kind of run with it, right? Like you get into Krakow, well, first Krakow, which is spiritual successor of Katowice, premier event, right? One of the biggest legacy events that we have in Counter-Strike, and you come like, top 12. That is after going past stage 1 as well. And then the EPL fourth place, winning PGL Bucharest, which had a decent selection of teams, like where they were definitely not the favorites, right? I think we had, let me take a look here. We had Astralis, we had Mongols, we had, was it FaZe? Yeah, FaZe bottomed out, but had interesting mix of teams, right? I don't think they were the firm favorites. Still, got the win, and I feel like they're just getting better and better because there are these small little mental milestones as a new team that you need to get past. I think for
yes,
Foot, is this winning Bucharest, even though it's not a S plus tour event with all the, with the arena and a lot of big names and whatnot, I think it really would help their confidence as well. And I won't lie, initially it did feel like it could still happen as well. It felt like they could be picked apart, the team, right? You have so many orgs out there looking to find new players and whatnot. But at this point, I'm like, nah, man, I want to see this team together. I think
yeah,
like they really have coalesced very well, right? Even Longs, who came into this team, like I think he's just because Longs has been a player. you just heard his name, right? You've just heard him. You've known he's played around for a while. Like you know he's been there okay, but then he comes into his team and he somehow I don't know if it's a catalyst or whatever. It just seems to click, right? All the five pieces. So for me, they're a they're a top five team for me right now. It might be. I don't even think that's a hot take, man. Like obviously have Navi and Vitality and Navi on top right there. You have I think Spirit look fucking scary right now,
With no coach,
and
especially.
with no coach, I just gotta wait for the coach to come in, and now you're like, oh shit, right? They're powering up, and then I'm looking at the rest of the teams. I'm like, okay, sure, stage one, stage two, we saw some crazy runs from teams like Bedboom and everything, but are they really a top five team? No. Mouse, they look good, but still in the rebuild phase, right? We don't know who the fifth perfect is going to be. Furia, I think they've tapered off a little bit. I think they're borderline fifth. Falcons, sure, could be. Still saw them lose those two finals, right? Like back to back. So even if you put in Falcons, in let's say the top four, I think Foot comfortably. I think I'd be comfortable putting them in top five right now. I think they're very consistent. I think they hit super hard. Every single one of the team can pop off. And when they go up against a team outside of the top 10, I feel like they're the one team where I don't feel worried that they're going to slip up, right? Like I know Falcons could choke a map, they could choke a series. I know, uh, Mouse could lose a game, right? But G2 could lose a game. But if you even Furia for that matter right now. But if you're looking at Foot at the moment, I feel like they're the one team I put money on if they have to play, stage one, stage two of the major, or let's say the opening stage of Krakow or any of these events, right? So yeah, I think that initially I was like, yeah, they're gonna definitely peter off, but at this point, just looking the way they play the game, they're here to stay, man.
Yeah, and what you were saying too about the whole like teams poaching players and stuff. I actually had Coolio on the podcast a couple months ago. We were talking about this, and there have been talks within the team about this happening. But I'm on the same page as you. Like, you see what they've done this year. Think about them this time next year and how much more they'll be bonded together and how much they'll progress and grow together. Like, I would be absolutely torn to see this team just start to, a piece goes over here, a piece goes over there. I'd be happy for them because, sometimes you want to play with, an idol that you've grown up watching and now you have the opportunity to play with them. Like, I wouldn't be mad at you for that. But man, this team right here is just so special. I want to see, I really think that I don't know, maybe I don't know if they can lift the major trophy, but I think they could get damn close. I would really hope that they would. I mean, that would be absolutely insane.
I think that would be crazy, but I feel like for them, just making the playoffs would be already a great achievement, right?
Yeah.
I feel like they should make the playoffs. Um, maybe not a 3-0, maybe, but even right now, dude, like the way they were just swinging at Astralis on the first map on Anubis, just like so fearless. They know what they want to do. They have a game plan. They shoot so hard as well. I think playoff run would be my right expectation for them, right? Um, but yeah, like this is a team I foresee come the Singapore major as long as like no changes happen or whatnot. I feel like they would solidify themselves in the top five as long as like nothing crazy happens. Because I can't see, for example, Navi consistently be playing at the level they are right now. They are, but I feel like Navi is still like one change away from really finding themselves, so to speak. I don't think just the firepower just isn't there for Navi, I feel. And despite that, they're like, a solid top two, top three team at the moment. And then for Falcons, until they crack the mental barrier, I feel like that they're always going to be a little shaky as well. So there's always these little caveats with every team, apart from Vitality, of course, right? So I think for me, they would be doing that, just being a perma top five team at the tippity top.
Sure. Yeah. And G2, they've been showing some pretty good strength, with Nerts slotting in for mobs on the team, of course. G2 versus Foot on Ancient. Hunter was showing some pretty solid structure as a leader. He's actually had a lot of moments recently too where you've seen an uptick in his performance. I remember I forget the team off the top of my head, but they were playing on Dust 2 and he was on short. And I think he got like a 3 or 4K spray down with the M4. Like, there's times honestly where I kind of wonder, is this the right leadership for this team? But then Hunter has
Mm.
games like that, and then they just have dominant victories, and I'm just kind of sold on it. I just don't really know where to point the finger in terms of like, where could we make this team, like where could we see them pick up, like how do they need to perform better? Um I'm kind of curious to hear on where you think their areas of improvement are and maybe where they lack a little bit.
I think first they've been a team like recently. I've been like, all right, that they're at this event, they're gonna do well, and they do okay, but they never just been. I feel like they just haven't been able to break through that barrier. Even in Astana, for example, they were like top eight, recent playoffs. Who did they lose? Let me quickly take a look here. I think they lost to Spirit. Fair enough, Spirit went on a tear in Astana, right? But overall, I think they've been looking pretty solid, right? They've been beating the teams they're supposed to beat. Even the losses have been some close losses to, the Mongols, for example, Mouse, who I would kind of keep at the same level with G2. But for me, the change seems kind of obvious. I feel like Senpais has to go. And the reason I say this is because they also have. Is Klim not under contract with G2 still? Is he on loan?
I believe he is on a contract, but they're open. I saw something about them being open to offers of selling him to another team or something like that. I'm gonna have to look it up now that we're
Yeah,
talking about it.
just looking him up. He is on loan from G2 Ares. Yeah. I have been more impressed with Klim the more I see of him play for MIBR. In fact, I actually wanted to stick around MIBR, right? But if once the loan period ends and if MIBR is opting not to buy him out, just upgrade your Opera. I think Klim is really, really solid with the AWP right now, especially in a time where it's really hard to find consistent output Oppas. And initially, I was like, oh, he's just farming some of these Brazilian local teams, just like all these Brazilian derbies and everything. But then you see him perform against. Let's take a look here. He had like so many great. Sure, recently not so great. The major was a bit of, especially the last year, just kind of rough for him. But if you look at his numbers overall, like against Liquid, he was dropping like 1.86 rating right there. Against Bait, against Paravision, averaging 1.5. This is like just last month, I believe, in Astana. He's like dropping big numbers against known names, right? Not just like no name or Brazilian or whatever South American teams. So despite the fall off he had in stage two when they got smacked by Spirit and Big and yeah, losing in the end to Bait right there, I think his numbers have been very, very solid against legit opposition. Also, fucking solid rifler. He's not just completely reliant on the AWP or the scout or whatever. So it seems like an obvious choice, but of course, I don't know what they're planning to do. Maybe we don't want to. Who's going to buy Senpais? I think it's also a question, right? Yeah, I don't think he's exactly an exciting prospect right now. But yeah, for me overall, I think the team, they won out on that Malps and Nerd swap. I think Heavy God is the star of the team.
Yeah.
I just feel like they need that second real star because Heavy God's positions aren't really, they're not like star roles, so to speak, star positions. It's just that he's so consistently good at his positions. But I just need one more guy to kind of live up to the star billing. I think Nerds is supposed to be that guy. We haven't seen much from him ever since the swap happened, but he seems to be finally firing up. He seems to be finally looking pretty solid. And he was completely like taking over. I think that game against was it M80 or something? I forgot. Not M80. I think it was against Big, where he was just like
Oh my God.
unplayable on Inferno, right? I'm like, what are you even on, brother? And that's what I want to see from Nerds more consistently, because you know what to expect from Heavy God. Mattis can be a little up and down, Hunter can be a little bit up and down, but as long as Nerds is there alongside Heavy God, and you have a you know what? Even Sunny P can just hit his shots, man. Don't do anything crazy. Just don't be caught on the open. Don't be a liability. And suddenly, this is a team that could really compete with the best out there.
Yeah, and I think of IEM Rio when I think it was his ankle. I think Hunter broke his ankle or his foot, or he injured it in some way,
Can
and he had
travel.
yeah. So Sampaias had this. He was the interim IGL for that tournament. And then they brought Tack in from G2 Ares, and I don't know. I thought Sampaias as IGL was pretty interesting. He had some it wasn't. You would imagine it would kind of be like maybe not an immediate fall off, but you wouldn't think that it would just immediately continue in a bit of an upwards trajectory for a little bit. I thought he did pretty solid. And the whole thing with the inconsistency, just with opping in general, it just seems like it's kind of like a black cloud over oppers in general right now. The inconsistency with a lot of oppers is just kind of crazy, and obviously the op market isn't great. Klim for some pious, it's like it looks like it could be a pretty good thing. I don't know. I just have my problem is like once I see a team together for so long, like especially with G2, you look at them, the vibes are so there. You can tell they're all meshed really well. Even when Nerds came back, and to see that break up a little bit would just be like, damn, that kind of sucks. Even Mobs, when Mobs left, I was like, man, I fucking love this guy. Now you see Mob Liquid, it's just like, oh Jesus, like
And he's miserable all the time,
yeah,
right?
I know, man. I hate to see it, but yeah,
I feel you, but it's still end of the day, man. Like, I
it's
try
a
to
job.
clump teams into different groups where, look, not everyone's going to win the major,
Yeah,
right? Some teams are out there and they know it. They're like, we're never going to be a top 5 team. We're never going to be a top 10 team, and that's okay. That's fine, right? It's a part of, well, it's part of the game, so to speak. And there are certain teams which I group in the championship caliber team. And G2 are that team. They are that org for me, right? And for me, I'm like, fuck your vibes, man. Like, rebuild the vibes if you have to. But
yeah,
like, you have some pieces that could, to get you those championship wins, could get you that Cologne win, could get you maybe on a good fucking run day, like get you that major, right? For example, they have such really good pieces. So for me, it's more about don't just languish in this iffy spot when you know what the obvious pieces are. Like, be more like Vitality, be more ruthless like that. You know what? Fuck it, be more like Falcons as well. Sure, you might not have the bottomless bag that Falcons do, but at least they're ruthless about it, right? Like, it's not working
yeah.
out. We're gonna get another one, another superstar. Fuck it. Why do you guys go for another superstar? Why do you guys, you already have a really solid opper with Klim. Try him out. See how it clicks for a few months. It's not going to be bad because he's tested. He's playing in a Brazilian team with his speaking English. Like, he's
Yeah.
already getting really tested and still delivering with flying colors. So, yeah, I mean, it's up to them. Obviously, it's going to be after the major, but I do feel like that is a change in need right now.
Okay. And let's talk about Falcons for a little bit. We all know the spotlight that they're under and the expectations that the community holds them to. Karrigan's system has been showing some pretty clear results in bringing some star power out of Kioske, which has been really, really cool to see. Uh, Karrigan just joining Falcons was obviously very controversial to many. We heard people saying, oh, yeah, you jumped ship from FaZe Clan. Others didn't really see it as that. Me personally, I kind of see both sides. A guy like Karrigan, clearly he's on the way out to retirement, right? Like, it's not like he has another 10 years in the game or something. At least I fucking hope not. Um, so I kind of understand why he would, go try to win a major trophy with another team. I mean, 10 years with FaZe Clan, 10 years is 10 years. Go try to win a major, get some money on the way out. You've put in so much work. Like, I understand that part. I also kind of understand the whole jumping ship with FaZe thing to an extent and how that kind of rolled out, not really telling people. And then I'm pretty sure Note did an interview with him where he kind of explained that managers were talking to Falcons and then it already happened, so he couldn't tell the team.
Yep.
I don't know. It sounded a little bit weird to me, but overall, in Astana and CAC, they play second back to back. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are on Karrigan's individual performance and where you think they'll place at the Cologne Major, because obviously a lot of people are back on the same hype train again. Falcons should be winning every single tournament with this lineup that they have, and then they get another superstar, and the cycle just continues. So I'm just curious what you think about the whole situation.
I think the entire situation. I mean, let's address Karrigan. This is the most spoken topic in the past couple of months,
Yeah,
right? But I have no qualms with it, man. His entire he betrayed FaZe. I'm like, bro, Karrigan gave an interview today as well where he said like the expectations on that FaZe team for the level of CS they're playing was just too much, and I agree.
yeah,
I feel like that team. It's like I don't think Jacob was it, right? I know it sounds like a hindsight thing, and sure, he does have his moments here and there, but he was never really it, I feel like. And sure, it was a little bit sudden, but when you get an offer as an IGL under a lot of pressure, your team, but for in forever, first time you don't make it to a major, it's a hard crushing time. You don't know how things are going to be. You don't even know if you're going to be living, you're going to be on that team anymore. And
yeah,
suddenly you get a call from Nico and Co saying like, hey, want to play with like literally the best opera in the world or second best, depending on who you're going to ask. One of the GOAT riflers, like one of the best we've ever had, and this up and coming freak of nature, like the next dong, so to speak, and also get the bag. Would you want to do that? It's like you'd be dumb. You'd be
yes,
actually
yes,
regressing mentally to not take that offer. So I think took it. He also said as well, like uh, it wasn't. It could have been handled better, but I think the management also fucked up a little bit. FaZe management fucking up, like it's not like it's never happened before. So, yeah, I just think it's a move for the better. I feel like that FaZe, the bullshit had run out. I feel like the magic was kind of dead, and I know right now, with Twist leading and everything, maybe the second time's a charm for that team. I still like FaZe. I still like the players in that team. Although the ending was a little unceremonious, I guess, with the way karrigan left and everything. But maybe that's what they needed, right? Because at that point, it did feel like, especially when it didn't qualify for the major, like, yeah, this is a dead team. Like, it's over. Now, speaking of what's happening over on the other side for Falcons, I think it is the perfect pickup. The perfect pickup. Because this is one thing a lot of the Reddit heads don't quite recognize or realize is when you're talking about IGL, it's not just about can he frag out. It's not just about is he a good, IGL in the server. It's about how good of a captain of men is he, right? Yeah. And that is what Falcons lack. Because Zonic said as well, like, you just can't pick up. I think the only two IGLs that could have clicked in that team would be Apex or karrigan. And Apex on leaving Vitality. No. So I think it's the best pick they could have had, right? And it's like, you need someone who they will respect and listen to.
Yeah.
Because these are massive personalities. You're talking about Nico and all he's done in the past. You're talking about m0NESY and all these achievements in his young career. You're talking about Kyosuke, who's like, his demeanor just screams, I don't give a shit. I'm just going to do what I want, right?
Yeah.
And then he comes in. They like playing this loosey-goosey, kind of like fragging out, kind of FaZe style, so to speak, right? Who else do you want to helm that team then? You get fucking karrigan, right? Those guys looked like they were miserable playing Counter-Strike.
Oh, it was actually heartbreaking.
karrigan comes in, just watching them, right? And now karrigan comes in, all of a sudden, everyone's happy. I never saw Kyosuke give an interview like the way he did in Astana. I think it was in the final day before they played Spirit, and he was like, James was like, any thoughts on karrigan? He's like, bro, smile on his face. I've never seen him smile, right? All the Chinese fans are super happy. Is it, my GOAT's smiling. And he's like, karrigan's the best, is the GOAT. And you can see in his, like, the biggest playoffs choker we've had in recent history to being the best player in the playoffs. That's what karrigan did to Kyosuke in a span of just 2 events right there, right?
Yeah.
But I still feel there is a bit of mental fragility, and it's, funnily enough, it's not Kyosuke, it's the other two. It is Nico and m0NESY. And you could see that clearly in CAC, because CAC was there for the taking. Like, that should have been their event, and instead they lose, I think, map 2, the against Legacy, right? Sure, Legacy defending champions and whatnot, but you're fucking Falcons, man. You're supposed to be the favorites here. And then you saw that failed spray on Ancient. I think it was a 9-10 or something. Nico completely whips it.
Yeah.
I think it was Lato just turns around and rips his head off. And then, sure, Lato had a god-tier fucking run in that particular thing. But then you go to map 3 and map 4, and they're just dead in the water. There's no life. There's no soul in them. And I feel like that is that mental fragility which karrigan can fix. Because you got to remember, he came into this team and they barely had any prep time. They went from Astana to CAC, an event which I did as well. I did both events back to back, and I barely had like a day and a half between the 2 events, right? And then for these guys, they had to find a China, so they didn't prep either, right? So they're kind of just figuring it out as they go with it. So for them coming in here, I feel like he's had more time in the kitchen to work with the side of Falcons. But I feel like they need that win, right? It's kind of like the Mouse situation in a way, right? Like where they just realized that we need to win something for us to kind of like find ourselves, right? And for Falcons, I feel karrigan is the guy who's going to be, just guiding them there. Are they the favorites for this major? No. Are they one of the favorites? Yes. I feel they are, if I do a ranking, just like current form ranking right now, heading into this event, I'd put them like 3rd, 4th. Right.
Fair.
And once I get to once I get to the playoffs, I think that's when we're going to see them thrive. Because I think that's a thing with karrigan teams, right? It's just about getting to the playoffs and then playing his brand of CS. We saw that against Furia, right?
Yes,
where the insane series, Nuke was one of the all-time great maps we've ever had in Counter-Strike. Even Dust 2, no one even talks about Dust 2, even though that was a tight game as well, even though, went to overtime and whatnot, because Nuke was so freaking amazing. All Falcons wouldn't have gone to map 3. They would have lost it on Nuke right there, right? So it feels like the more they play, they are starting to kind of ditch that choking moniker that's been kind of plaguing Nico and Manasi all this while. So time will tell. But I do feel the expectations are so insane on this team that everything seems to be just hyperbole, right? Everyone's, oh, it's the greatest team. Oh, they're gonna suck. I'm like, guys, give them a couple of weeks. They've had a couple of weeks right now, and in fact, they're gonna be playing G2 in the next couple of hours. So let's see.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that I'm a little bit worried about is I believe there was an interview, I'm pretty sure it was karrigan that said it, that they weren't playing for the Cologne major, they were playing for the Singapore major. To me, that's a little bit of a red flag. Also, kind of understand the other side of it as well, because if you're slotting into this team after literally the worst season you've ever had in your life, in your career with FaZe, I mean, that was the most heartbreaking run. I'm a massive FaZe fan. I'm telling you right now, I love FaZe, okay? But the
Right.
thing is, watching that happen was actually, it looked like you were just watching shells of everybody on that team, and there was nothing inside them, especially HLC Belgrade, like, holy shit. So when you look at that right there, and then karrigan, the whole controversy of him joining Falcons and everything, if to immediately expect them to win the Cologne major, I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I could understand why they say they're playing for the Singapore major. I don't know, man. It's tough. And then the whole thing with karrigan and his fragging potential too. Obviously, as an IGL, your main goal isn't to be the fragging IGL. Not everybody's going to be a Krebeni. But at the same time, a lot of people doubt his individual performance, as he's now taken the #1 worst performing IGL of, or Counter-Strike player actually of all time in Tier 1 CS. So
Yep.
a lot of people I've seen, or even some podcasts were talking about, when karrigan's on the team, it's automatically a 4v5, which is, I don't know, it's kind of an ignorant take, because now you're just saying that he's not even there, and then that would be like, someone else is IGLing and karrigan's just there spectating, which is kind of just stupid. But at the same time, like, frags do matter in CS2. So what are your thoughts on that whole aspect of things as well?
I guess a lot to okay, just to like address the first bit. I think karrigan saying, "Oh, working for the Singapore major," that's more about tempering expectations for his team rather than anything else. I know karrigan. I've spoken to karrigan. karrigan goes into every event looking to win it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is. He's like he's got that mentality, which is why he is who he is, right? So make no mistake, Falcons are coming into this major to win it. Like I think that goes without saying. I think the interview, like, it's just, I think, just a PR answer, right? Just trying to temper the expectations for some of these younger players and be like, all right, guys, there's lesser pressure. But come game day, they're going in for the win. They're coming in to try and win this major. And I don't think they're there yet. But listen, man, a favorable bracket, someone else taking care of Vitality for you, all of a sudden, it could be yours, right? It could happen. It's when it comes to like the major with all the pressure on, when it comes to these best of threes or even potentially the best of 5 in grand finals, it's about how you're going to perform on that given map on that given day. That's about it. It's more like a matter of inches, matter of millimeters, right? So, yeah, I'm not going to read too. I wouldn't read too much into what karrigan said there. The individual thing, I think it's an interesting discussion because there's one school of thought who's like, man, you got Nico, Tessus, Monesi, and Kyosuke. If you can just activate them, you can just remain AFK right now. I don't agree with that. Obviously, I think you need to do the bare minimum of fragging. And as much of a karrigan defender as I am, where I'm like, look at the way he's going in front of Kyosuke. He's, being the lamb to the slaughter just to enable Kyosuke. And he's been doing that a lot. Don't get me wrong. It's not like he's individually baiting people or just being nowhere. He's trying to be the bait for Kyosuke. He's trying to be the guy going in and sacrificing himself all the time. But also, I'm just watching him aim. Like, brother, you need to hit the
Man.
You need to hit the aimbots here, buddy. Like, it's like it's not even an age thing. It's just about this is bad like really bad mechanics, like aim wise, and you can't have that. Like, you can't lead a team to that level because you look at every other team The IGLs are usually the ones that struggle the most, right? Like Apex sure is gonna struggle. You look at Alexi B on the side of Navi. You look at even Blitz now and Mongols. I think he's been struggling quite a
Yeah.
bit, right? But not to the level of like where people are making tweets saying this is the lowest rated game ever by an individual. Like it shouldn't be like that every single time. And he does have his pop off maps here and there, but it just feels like I think it's a karrigan style, right? He's so locked in the calling. You can see like how into the game he is. He's so jumpy all the time. You look at his aim; he's not shooting before the crosshair's on a person. Yeah, you'll actually notice that if you watch some of his demos. It is kind of hilarious. So I think it's very, very fixable, right? If you're going to be spending all the time with Nico, Monas, and Kyusuk, I'm sure karrigan can just ask him a couple of pointers. Hey guys, how can you help my fucking boomer ass to like aim a little bit like you? And I feel that small little uptick, that's all you need. It's nothing crazy. You don't have to frag out. Just be good for getting a kill, which you should kill. That's it. You don't have to pop off or anything. So I think there is some merit behind that argument. I don't think it's a 4v5. Again, it's hyperbole over there. Everyone's like 4v5. He's just a bot. I don't think that's the case. There have been moments where he has been getting a lot of important kills as well. But he really could do more. And I don't think it's a very big ask either. I'm not asking him to pop off or do something crazy or let it eat into his prep with the team or whatnot. No, just a little bit of extra, some minutes, like a couple of extra hours, just with some good mechanics. Just trying to work in the mechanics, trying to instill some habits, right? Maybe go for some headshot DM or something, man. Like, I don't know, whatever works for you, right? Or just ask Nico what he does and try it out.
And please, for the love of God, when you see a smoke, please don't shift walk through it anymore and just walk your forehead right into an AK barrel. Oh my God. I've seen way too much of that. I just don't understand.
I don't think karrigan's fully adapted to the CS2 mechanics. I don't think it's really fully understood. Like, how if you look at CS2 right now, how everyone just wants to, when you're about to take the fight, you just swing out wide. Like the small little stutter steps, kind of like, when you're walking, you're kind of running, but not running far enough where you make a footstep, for example. You're swinging. I think, like, and these are stuff which the high elo players would know, and like even just decent, premier prem players. Surely every professional player knows this, but sometimes I feel like, karrigan, like, do you know this? Like, do you really know how to play? How your movement works in this game? So I feel like these are things he needs to address because it's not a biggie, man. Like you can figure this out.
For sure. And one of the last points to cover is Vitality. Obviously, everything they've achieved in the last year or so is just historical in many ways. We constantly see the debate of the prime Astralis versus current Vitality lineup. Who's the GOAT? What team's best? All that stuff. Fort Worth, they end up beating Na'Vi 3-0 in the grand final. Excuse me. And they lift the trophy with next to no practice. On top of that, they were on vacation before the tournament, I believe. Then they finished the tournament. They go back on vacation. They go over to IEM Atlanta, and Na'Vi beats them in the quarterfinal, which obviously raises a lot of flags and a lot of questions surrounding it. It's the easiest thing to say, oh, Navi's going to win the major at that point because Na'Vi looked absolutely dominant, especially on Inferno. They kind of just did whatever the hell they wanted with Vitality, and Vitality had nothing to answer to their questions. So I'm curious where your thoughts are with Vitality and Na'Vi going into the major, especially when you look at a team like, Vitality is continuing to just absolutely dominate Foot, unfortunately, but Spirit is a team that I didn't really, I don't know, with now them not having a coach. Sotfik was obviously doing a great job when you compare their recent results with Hallie. Now they don't have a coach. I think about them going deep into the playoff run. How easy is that going to be? I'm just kind of curious what your whole angle is on that.
I think for Vitality, they're the best team we've ever had. I'll go ahead and say it. I think Astralis were the best team for the longest time, meta defining and all of that. But then you're talking about even Astralis, apart from they won the more majors, sure, but they didn't win the amount of trophies that Vitality have done in this streak, this span of time. Just the sheer dominance, it's unheard of. We were talking about the MR12 variant, where like MR12 is a little bit more random, unlike MR15. Still dominates, doesn't affect them, right? I think the players are some of the best in the respective roles, apart from Flames, because Donk exists, right? Apart from that, like it just the perfect team, the perfect team. And you know what? I think Atlanta, the loss was good for them. I think them
Yeah.
losing there, I think the fact that they didn't prep, they went on vacation. We saw a lot, a lot of photos and everything we posted by Robs and Flames and Mezzi and Apex, a French and an Englishman going on together, crazy. See, that's how good this team is, right? Somehow it makes sense. And the fact that they lost to Bet Boom, right? I think that was I would say a rude awakening, but a bit like them showing the lack of practice and the fact that they were still like maybe in vacation mode. And against Navi, look, take nothing away. I think Inferno was a complete curb stomp coming in. But that, and after leaving Atlanta, you could see they were not really super bothered with it. But they're like, okay, Major's up right now. We have about close to a month, like 3 weeks to prep for it. Let's do it. And now this is a Vitality coming in where they know how to win. They know how to win Majors. They know how to win anything, right? So I saw an interview with Apex earlier before the game as well, where he was like over prep, but not under prep, just good enough prep, right? And that already is infinitely more than what they did for Atlanta, and they still reach the playoffs, FYI, right? So I'm not too worried for Vitality. I think Vitality coming in as absolute the favorites. This is them looking to leave no question as to who the absolute greatest team of all time is. Because even now, even though I say the greatest team, there'll be a couple of pundits or people who are gonna try and make a case of Astralis, right? And whatnot. But I feel like winning this major would just establish them with no question in anyone's mind that they are the greatest of all time. I already think they're the greatest of all time. I don't think they need to win this major to prove that. But what's most impressive for me is just staying at the top and having that, continuing to maintain that hunger to just be on top, and not just be the top, just to be indomitable every fucking time. I think that is what makes this team special. And also the fact that they seem to have, the tactical brilliance of what Astralis had. They have the bullshit of FaZe. They have the individuals taking over, like, let's say, some of the Falcons guys have, for example. They seem to have all the best of every team out there, and every team's superpower, and they take it combined into this fucking behemoth of a team, right? So yeah, for me, best team of all time. Even right now, this is destroying Foot after getting destroyed on map number 1.
Yeah.
So they were 5-13 on map 1, Foot's pick, 13-2 at Foot on Overpass, and right now they're going to be 12-2 on Nuke. So
Yeah.
welcome to the major Vitality. Spirit, I think, again, there's so much hyperbole and so much of like these hot takes everyone has to make about the Spirits and the Falcons of the world, because I think Sophic is a very good fit, because you could see how with him working with Zontix has gotten much better. I think the team is coming together right now. Also, like, his flash assists. This is a stat we saw in in Astana. They had the best flash assists in the past 2 events. They had Rio and Astana. Then they had the entirety of last year.
Yeah.
The Sophics have really been working with the utility. You can see it's very palpable what's happening here. But then also, I'm like, but guys, like, are we all just assuming that Hallie's not involved at all, even though he's away, like that he hasn't laid out the foundation on which Sophic's trying to fill in and fit in, right? Everyone's like, oh, calling to Hallie's head. I'm like, I don't think it really has to be that. I feel like Spirit, have 2 good pieces that could work with, they're actually suffering from a plethora of good pieces to work with. So let Hallie and Software work, which is what they're doing right now. They made the announcement out that, unfortunately, obviously, the Sophic visa issues, and Hallie hospitalized. Hopefully, it gets better as well. But clearly, Spirit didn't need the coach behind them. Yeah, and they have that little puppet thing as well behind them. So yeah, there we go.
He's got his own HLTV page.
They have an HLTV page, which is fucking hilarious. I like it. I enjoy when our video game isn't so ultra fucking serious all the time.
Yes.
I think we've lost a lot of it, with the death kind of community servers and all these like stupid maps that I used to love to play and all of that. It's gotten a little bit too much into the esports, the competitive, the matchmaking side of things. So for me, I'm happy that we still have these small little things we can talk about. So yeah, I think Spirit coming in, especially when you're going to have Hallie at the helm, I think it's going to be fine. I don't think Hallie has to be cut for Sophic. I don't think his job's on the line. I think 2 of them together can make the team even better. But for me, right now, looking at current form, they are the dark horse. They are the other favorite. The other team who I think could beat Vitality.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm not talking about like, Vitality having a shit day. I'm not talking about Vitality playing well
Like just going
and
head to
still
head,
losing.
battling it out.
Just go head to head, like, immovable object, unstoppable force. The Spirit, last couple of events I watched from them were terrifying. Astana was just them steamrolling everyone, and now
Yeah.
they've had a lot of time to like prep as well. So I'm just looking forward to see these two teams. That's what's the third team, Navi, right? I think Navi, the second best team right now we have, and obviously Atlanta would have done wonders for their confidence as well. I think they needed it, but it's also like for Navi, I think the second best team because of the lackings of the other teams at the moment. Because Falcons have just had a recent change and they kind of figured this shit out. Because who else is there? I mean, apart from Vitality, obviously. Yeah, for Spirit, for example, this they struggled for quite a while with Magic's coming in, right, as the IGL. They've been kind of middling all this while, coach not being there in Rio and all of that. So I feel like when all these gaps are being made and Navi's is filling it great, right? Because Fury's been having a rough time as well. And the most impressive thing from Navi is the fact that they beat Vitality and got the event, right? So it's not like they had a free run to the trophy as well. They do that despite the lack of firepower. And that's something that even Blade has mentioned time and time again. I think it's a very evident thing. There is no real star in this team, right? I think Makaze is the one guy you can call him the star. He's the most
Yep.
consistent fragger output wise, but everyone else is kind of all up and down. There were rumors of, maybe Frozen getting picked up by Navi. I think that would be good.
Yeah.
I feel like for Navi at this juncture, they're very dangerous. I don't think they're not a favorite, but I think they're a team who could make some of the favorites really sweaty. I think they could pull off that one big upset. I'm talking about like a top three team, right? But I don't think they can do that consistently throughout the event, throughout the match. I think they will win against the lesser teams like your Bed Booms, Maus, 9Z, Mongols. I think they can beat them pretty handily. But to pull off, some would say, a bullshit run, so to speak, let's say by beating, let's say, Falcons and then a Spirit and a Vitality back to back, I think that's a little bit beyond them at the moment. And for me, come the next season, I would expect them to go for a firepower upgrade.
Yeah.
It could be Imma, could be Bit, but I think that's what's holding them back. Because overall, I think Alexi B does a very good job calling. I think the team, the cohesion is great. Blade. What else can I say about him?
Yeah.
It just the firepower isn't there. You need someone else to consistently step up. It just can't be Makaze being the heavy hitter, and then on a good day you have Bit maybe taking over, and then you have maybe Imma taking over. But it's so up and down, and you can't have that at this level of CS, especially where they want to be at, right? And this is Navi. They want to win majors. They want to win events. So I think the major playoffs would be commendable. I think that is where I would put them at. And depending on the matchup, might get lucky. Semis, finals, I don't know. If they get really lucky with the brackets, maybe. But that remains to be seen.
Okay. Okay. And when it comes to the second season of 2026, what are you most looking forward to? Can we expect you on any more broadcasts? Do you have anything special that you're wanting to do before the year closes out? What can you say about that?
Yeah, I do have a few events coming up. Obviously, esports being esports, you don't really know which ones you're going to be doing till,
Yeah.
just a couple of months prior. Yeah, but I do have a few events lined up. Excited for the second season. I think we're going to have a good idea as to the lay of the land as to how it's going to be after the major, after Cologne as well. I'm actually very much looking forward to this transfer season because I feel like last couple of transfer seasons have been a little meh, not super interesting in all honesty. And I know like it's because of the buyouts and whatnot, but there are a couple of teams like Mouse, for example, who is going to be that fifth. Is it going to be JL? Is it going to be someone else new? I think that's an exciting prospect. And I think a couple more teams, Navi, for example, are they going to make any changes? Where's FaZe going to be heading towards? I think there's a lot of these cool storylines which remain to be written come next year. So I'm just going to be, sitting back, have a few events lined up too. Can't say it out loud,
Yeah, that's fine.
but you'll see me online.
Perfect. Awesome. Love to hear it. So, as for the last part of the podcast, very similar to last time, I like to just shine the spotlight over to the guests. If there's any type of thing that you want to say in any regard at all, please feel free to close out the episode and speak your mind.
Nothing much, man. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it was great talking last time. I've also loved a lot of the work you've been putting out. Got some big interviews recently as well. I think you had the one uh with Kixon, if
Yes.
I'm not mistaken. Yes, that was a very fun watch. I think that's something a lot of people were looking to hear from as well. His side of the story, so to speak. So yeah, thank you for having me, and yeah, just enjoying watching his stuff as well.
Alrighty, guys, and there you have it. Thank you very much for tapping into another episode of the channel. I still can't believe how close we are to 100 episodes. Actually wild to me. So to have you guys around, whether you're new or old fans of the show, it means a lot that you guys are even just clicking on the video and watching and listening to what we have to say. So mega thank you for that. And we're gonna let you guys go there. So make sure you go in the description, check out the links for not only myself but Bleh as well, of course. Let me know who you want to see winning the major in the comments below. We'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for tapping in. Till next time, everybody.